eyes glazed and hands tightly tucked between my thighs, hoping that no one would talk to me or even look in my direction. I knew that wouldn't be enough. I came up with an idea so simple yet interwoven with what I was feeling in that moment that I had to tell myself that it wasn't just an idea, but a reality. A gut reaction to what I was emotionally experiencing, so visceral that it had to be true. An idea that scraped at my sense of right and wrong, of good and bad boys. A play that, if successful, would make me safer but threatened who I considered myself to be. I weighed my options, thought about the questions I still had in my head, and got up from the carpet. Miss, I motioned to the teacher. I need to talk to you, I said as I walked to the cubby space where I'd put down my backpack earlier. Yes, Matthew? What do you want to talk to me about? She had the sweet and endearing tone that only kindergarten teachers and grandmothers possess. She looked into my eyes the way that only kindergarten teachers and grandmothers do. My stomach is really hurting me, and so is my head, so bad. I feel a bit dizzy and feel like I might throw up. Miss, I don't want to throw up. I just don't feel good at all, I said, laying it on thick, knowing that this one act, this one performance, this one conversation with the person who held all the power would determine if I would have to endure my all-consuming fear for the rest of the day. My fears were all I could think about. I had to make this work. I had to be a bad boy in order to get what I needed. Oh no, that's not good, Matthew. That's not good. She looked into my eyes and waited for me to reply. Yeah, miss, it's not. And I really want to stay here because I love it and it's my first day and I'm so sad, but I feel so bad right now. I feel so sick right now. I don't know why. I wish I just felt better, but I'm not feeling any better. I might barf. I'm going to barf. I don't want to barf on the first day. I don't want to barf here. Miss, can you please help me? Please, miss. Looking up at her, I thought of everything from eating Brussels sprouts to drinking spoiled milk to watching the washing machine in my dark basement going round and round. The idea I had was no longer an idea, but a feeling. It had to be. I made myself feel it. I stared at her and allowed my eyes to get as wet as they could without crying. Crying could possibly blow it, I thought. I needed to be weak but strong, passive but present, bit of a boy but a bit of a man. Okay, Matthew. I kept my eyes fixed on the shoelaces my father had recently taught me how to tie. Mom is coming to pick you up, okay? Just sit here. This is going to be your cubby for the year, Matthew, okay? Maybe ask Mom to make you some chicken soup when you get home, all right? I kept my head down to avoid her seeing any glimpse of joy or deceit or relief. This is my cubby, miss? Okay, I'll tell her about the soup. I'm sorry, miss. She gently rubbed my back and walked away. I kept my head down and waited for Mom. When we walked in the front door, I didn't wait to be told to sit on the couch. I knew not to even attempt to pick up the TV remote. I was under a different power now, and I was in no position to abuse it. Plus, I still had a character to play. Mom came into the living room and put a blanket over my shoulders and looked long into my eyes. They were still wet. Hers were a bit too. She stared at me for what felt like 30 hours and then walked away into the kitchen. The blanket over my shoulders was so warm that sweat beaded and ran from the top of my forehead down toward my eyebrows. I watched my little baby brother scramble after toys on the floor. I no longer wished I was invisible. I wished I was telepathic like my favorite X-Men character, Professor X. Squeezing my concentration in his direction, at his legs, trying to will him to walk over to me and peel off my blanket wasn't working. Not able to be invisible, not capable of using my mind to control others, I left the sweat dripping from my scalp and reclined deep into the couch, having learned that sometimes being a bad boy paid off. Not understanding how this itty-bitty idea that my 4-year-old brain came up with in order to feel safe in my surroundings would eventually be confounded by so many other things. Most of all, my black skin. Here's your chicken noodle soup that your teacher recommended, Matthew, Mom said as she came from the kitchen.